like we know that cardio is all for your heart and for your breathing capacity and all that, and strength training is all for building muscles. So which do you think is more important? Is it cardio or strength training?
The combination of all this, because you can't just tell, okay, I'll just run and then I'll go and climb a mountain. It's not going to work out, because what will happen is you would have ran like say 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, you would have ran, and you'll be really good in in the cardio part of it. But when it comes to actually wearing a backpack with weight, so when you go to these mountains, you have to carry everything. So you'll be having like 15 to 20 kilos. That's where your physical, like the weight training part comes in. So if you're only running, then it's going to be really tough while climbing, because then you will not know the weight part of it.
Hey viewers and listeners, welcome to the Right Now podcast. This is the 5th episode of the podcast, and we have our host Abhinandan and me here today. And it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. I hope all of you are doing well, especially the current situation that is happening in the country. We hope all of you are keeping safe. Stay home, stay safe. If you have to go out, please wear masks. Please do the necessary. If you haven't listened to our previous podcast, please listen to this one and go back and listen to that as well. That one is on the 4th episode, that is. It was on the personal finance for millennials. It's a very useful episode. It is there available in 2 parts actually. So you'll have fun listening to that. And I cannot tell you how much fun you'll have listening to this particular episode of the Right Now show, as we have an amazing guest with us today between us. So before I give an intro, I would call upon Abhinandan to give an intro about the guest today.
I mean, this is the first time I've given an intro for a friend who's been a friend for the past 20 years. But I'll try my best to give the most formal intro and do justice to the person I'm giving an intro. Today, we have Mr. Sai Mukunda. Sai Mukunda is an MBA graduate. Oh, yeah. So, Sai Mukunda is an MBA graduate who went on to work for an investment firm. One fine day, he decided that he needed to drop the corporate world because mountains came calling. He later went on to do his basic mountaineering course from Nimas. He's trekked multiple mountains both in the north and south of India. His latest feat being summiting 2 6,000 meter peaks, namely Kangyatse 2 and Stokangri. He's also a businessman and a technology agriculturist. Without further ado, we would welcome the one and only Mr. Sai Mukunda onto the podcast, please.
Hey!
I think that was a solid
thanks,
introduction. Yeah, Mukunda, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Abhi. I've seen your first 2 episodes. Thank you so much for inviting, for speaking on your Right Now podcast. I would say Iga podcast in Kannada.
We'll think about that, Abhi. I think we'll have to edit out this part. By the way, viewers, just one thing. So the 3 of us happened to be roommates in our 12th standard, way back in the year 2009-10. It was pretty fun, playing pranks on one particular candidate in the room, the 3 of us, and it was an amazing year.
Candidate's name started with Sai and ended with something like Da or something like not.
Oh, nice. Yep. To the viewers listening, actually Abhinav and me used to make videos from our 12th standard. I hope we get those footages, because those are extreme footages of us recording with the Nikon, what is that? P90.
Coolpix.
No.
Yeah.
D16. Coolpix. Yeah. So we used to try to, these cameras had these options inbuilt where you could just rewind the whole footage, and we used to try to go back and forth by jumping. It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, I think that was the beginning of our love for video, especially Mukku and I used to do some really crazy stuff, and Abhinandan was our subject maybe.
Yeah.
But today we have a very interesting topic, a person especially like Mukunda who's going to speak to us about, which is mountaineering. So I've always been fascinated by mountaineering, not really been interested in mountaineering. But being a very close friend of Mukunda, I've seen him train for mountains, and I mean for really to summit mountains. And then I've been intrigued with the process of how the training really goes ahead. And then for anyone who's not really climbed mountains, who loves mountains, and I think this podcast or this show would be really helpful because a person like Mukunda would be giving secrets into how do you train to summit or to really mountain or to trek. So I mean that's something that we would all like to hear. And
So actually, when I came to know about him climbing those two 6,000 meter peaks, I really didn't know anything about it, unless until this time when we actually sat in this place called Kaza in Spiti Valley, and we were sitting in this monastery, and this guy had just come back from his 2 expeditions, and we happened to meet there, and he was telling me about all those mountaineering stories, and I think that was the beginning point of when my interest started to grow in mountaineering, etc. And then eventually when I went on to edit those 2 videos that Stoke Kangri and the Kangyatse 2 videos. So hearing those stories of mountaineering and that whole mind beyond body from Sai Mukunda himself, so it was really inspiring, and I think I was more inspired to edit those videos than like doing it for a friend. Yeah, definitely that is there, but it was too inspiring. Yeah, Mukunda, you're saying something.
Yeah, also because we were discussing in a place where there were mountains all around us, and you could
Correct.
relate to it more, and you had just you had ridden all those kilometers in the mountains, so you could realize how tough it was, not to ride but also to climb. So
Very true, very true. I just finished like a Spiti Valley circuit, and I was coming, and like riding itself was so difficult, and of course like the most difficult part of ride happened that evening when we actually spoke in the monastery. So anyway, so Mukunda, see, like, now that I'm so inspired about all that, so I really want to get into the whole climbing bigger mountains also. Like I have that thing ki, maybe sometimes I should go and try at least. So
correct.
say if I want to climb like a 6,000 meters peak, which is almost which is that starting point of big deal. So before that, if you have like a 3,000 4,000 meter peak, it's fine, but when you really talk about 6,000 meters and above, I think that's when it starts to get a little difficult. So what should I be doing? So the ball is yours. No, that's not right.
Mukunda, if you could also factor into the view that someone like me who has not even climbed a 500 meter peak, so if I would like to train, right? So
I think he has
how
climbed
would
his
it be?
farting.
Yeah.
He has climbed. Abhi has climbed more than 500 meters. In Chikmagalur, you did 1,200 meter peak.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so assume
Yeah.
2,000
It still
meter
counts.
peak. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I mean
still
the
counts.
flow is all yours. How do we start? How do you prepare, and what needs to be kept in mind?
So
Yeah.
let me start off with my journey. So it will be more relatable, right? So
Yep.
coming from a back, like I'm from the seas. I'm from Bangalore. So mountains are there. The Western Ghats. The maximum, the peak I face here is 5,800 around meters. That is the Kumar Parvata. That's the maximum you can go from sea level. And to go into big mountains, the whole mindset is different. So first, a person needs to understand why do you want to climb. Like, what is the main reason of the climb? Like, are you going to enjoy the process, or is it going to be painful? All these things come into play. And then talking about the mountains in the Himalayas, a lot of factors come into play. That is physical fitness, mental fitness, and then diet. When I started off with the physical fitness part, I actually had no idea what to train. Like I knew that we have to run to increase our aerobic capacity, but I didn't know exactly how. So I started Instagramming a lot of these mountaineers for a certain fitness regime, what they follow to climb these 6,000 meter peaks or anything more than that. And I remember Instagramming this lady who climbed 7 summits from Saudi Arabia, first lady or something. So I told her, see, I do this running and I also do tree climbing and all that. She was like, don't, running is okay, but tree climbing, all those things doesn't matter. You need to actually go into the mountains to understand the toughness of it. But when this was way before I did my basic mountaineering course. So when I actually went for the mountaineering course, and I prepared in such a way where I ran, I climbed trees, I climbed hills, all was included. Everything of the three were included. When I actually did that, I figured out that it is again very individualistic. Like each person can tell you, okay, yeah, do this, do that, but it is up to that person. When he's climbing, he has to understand his body more than anything else for climbing big mountains. So, but if you ask me so there is no certain like plan or regime which you can follow to climb big mountains, but certain aspects like running, trail running, so these things affect your lungs obviously. So it's going to improve your lungs. So you're going to get more, like your aerobic capacity will improve, or your anaerobic training. Like you need to do a lot of this high intensity interval training. This will improve your cardio part of it. And then hiking, trekking is going to improve your whole body as a whole body, like because you're going to trek in the mountains. Just to reach a 6,000 meter peak, you're going to trek. So your body has to have that kind of energy, has to undergo that pain. So you need to you have to move uphill with a backpack, or you have to you can do like staircase climbing. You have to probably go more on steep terrains, so that your body understands the same thing. Like you need a simulation, right? Because you're going to go into Himalayas where it's going to be really tough, and it's going to be like altitude wise, or whether terrain wise, it's going to be like there's going to be a lot of rocks. You're going to go into like snow. You're going to so your legs needs to be worked out really well. So the hiking and trekking
at this point, I have one question for you. So
yeah.
You said about cardio training and strength training. So
okay.
Like we know that cardio is all for your heart and for your breathing capacity and all that, and strength training is all for building muscles. So there has to be like a balance that has to be struck between these two. Which do you think is more important? Is it cardio or strength training?
I think that's what. So if you do there is no you can't just run and expect to climb a mountain. So it's a combination of all this which will actually improve your overall overall thing in the mountain. Like when you're climbing a 6,000 meter peak, the combination of all this, because you can't just tell, okay, I'll just run and then I'll go and climb a mountain. It's not going to work out, because what will happen is you would have ran say 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, you would have ran, and you'll be really good in in the cardio part of it. But when it comes to actually wearing a backpack with weight, so when you go to these mountains, you have to carry everything. So you'll be having like 15 to 20 kilos. So that's where your physical, like the weight training part comes in. That's where you will be like, okay, yeah, I can carry this amount of load and go. So if you're only running, then it's going to be really tough while climbing, because then you will not know the weight part of it. Yeah. Yep. I hope.
But I think one more thing, right, Mukku,
yeah.
The thing is that something I'm interested to know is, right from the day you started, right? So you saw the Instagram influencer and then you kind of interacted with her. Right from the day you started your training to the day you actually, finished it. I mean, you can't really say finished, but then with the day you finished it and then you went for mountains, what is the whole journey in middle, right? What is the transformation in terms of a physical self that you saw in yourself?
It's a drastic change, obviously, because every day you're consistently training this amount of time. I would say I was very bad in the beginning, and I just went. By the end of 3 months, I knew I was not well prepared enough, but I knew that because of that preparation, I was pretty confident. Because of that preparation, I will do well. So I had that thing in mind. So if you don't get that positive state of mind just before you go, then it's going to be really tough, because then you already are going with low confidence. So that is
So I think
one of the main aspects.
from what I saw you, and then from what you're telling now, from what I feel is that consistency and discipline. These are very two important factors in terms of physical fitness, right?
Yes. If you're not consistent, then it's just going to affect your workouts as you progress. So if say
Okay.
there are so many factors, right? You might travel in between, or you might fall sick in between. So whenever these things happen, you have to start from scratch. Like if you're running 10, 20 kilometers, 10 kilometers say every day, and then you fall sick, you have to come back to 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and then that's how it rolls. Otherwise, you're again like you're going to overload your body, or you're going to like have a injury, muscle injury or something, or such things happen usually with mountaineers, because you're trying to like give 100% from the beginning once you come back. So those things are very important when you're training, because it's just not about just, it's smart training. It's just not about just going with the flow and hitting the deck every single time. It's just about just doing it slowly and just building up that, base. Really
So
well.
Mukunda, since Abhinandan brought up about the whole aspect of consistency and discipline, so I understand that is like very important. But if you're not motivated enough, or if you're not staying in that, company of people who are actually motivated with you, so that becomes like really difficult. So I know that with you there was Saini Vivek also, who was training at the same time for the same expedition. So how important was that when you have someone with you who's training alongside?
The importance of a partner is great, but mountaineering is like a pilgrimage, right? That's what like most mountaineers feel. So when you're climbing a mountain, you're like feeling like you're going towards God, and it becomes a very individual thing. So when you train, you have to train in such a way that you just think that you are going to the goal. So if you start training, like if you start depending on the other person, it's going to be really tough for the other person, and also for like myself. Say I'm going, I can't all the time depend on Saini. So he might train in a way which he's very familiar with. So it's again it comes down to the individual in the end. So sometimes for us, we don't try to seek motivation, because we try to be again consistency is backed up with this, because you don't always look forward like, okay, I need to be motivated, I need to listen to music, then only I can push forward. That's not the right way to go. I mean, it can be a part of it, but not all the time, because at altitudes you cannot depend on music, or you can't depend on any of those things. It's just your inner self, and your whatever is there in you will come out over there.
Wow, never actually looked at it from this perspective, but it's amazing.
Yeah, as I was talking about the physical aspects, there are also many other things, like when you're going for big mountains, there's something called muscle endurance. So muscle endurance is nothing but like the repeated actions on your muscle for a longer time. It's just endurance combination. So you have again running, then you have climbing into the play. That's where like rock climbing or tree climbing in my case. And so you also think about like rock climbing, whether you want to do indoor or outdoor. So indoor gives you certain amount of feel, and I am sure you guys have gone for rock climbing sessions, so you'll know how it is to rock climb.
Yeah.
It actually you feel the pain all over the body.
Yeah, one session and you're like, oh my god, this is the maximum energy I've spent in like last 1 year, 2 years. That was the feeling.
I've been inspired by you and Abhinav. So
Why me?
really thankful.
Indoor rock climbing it's one thing, because then you slowly build up that base. But when you transit to the outdoor rock climbing, it becomes extremely difficult, and it's also time consuming. It's also dangerous. A lot of people don't know that rock climbing can be extremely dangerous if it's not done correctly. And that's about it. So if these things build up your muscle endurance, this will actually help you on the mountain, because you're going to be consistently hitting 8 to 10 hours of climbing and you need that energy from somewhere. So that's going to come up from your training. That's going to come from your rock climbing, because rock climbing you have to move all your limbs. So there are a lot of muscles which you don't move on a daily basis will be used in rock climbing. That's going to actually help you in while climbing big mountains.
Yep. So I think Mukku, from apart from I think physical fitness, right? And I have not been personally physically fit, right? But then I've trekked with you for a certain small number of treks. But I think what the most important part in those treks that I trekked with you, and I'm sure Abhinav also will agree, is that pushing yourself, and that's something that you've been consistently helping us with. To be very specific, it's more, I think, the mental aspect of it, which is really important. So, I mean, just a quick shed of light on the mental aspect of mountaineering.
So before he speaks about that, so there is this thing about these trek leaders and people like Simon Kanda, is that they have this thing ki from the base of the mountain, till you reach almost the summit, they're all, it's right here, we are almost there.
Yeah.
And we are like, what the hell? Not coming only.
I remember even in Chikmagalur, this guy did the same thing to me. He said, bro, it's just here, bro. It's just here. And there were some couple of friends with us also. So you were like, yeah, it's just here. I knew that, okay, Mukku, I knew what Mukku is, and I knew that actually it is very far. Those guys really thought that it's just there. And they were like, Mukku, where is it? You just told us it's right there, no? So, but yeah, I mean, that helps.
That helps.
So ignorance is bliss. So best is like, even if that person doesn't know where is the peak, you just like keep pushing them to, summit. That's what they came for, right? Like pain is there. Pain is part of the process. It has to be there. Otherwise, you will not get that kind of view. You'll not get that kind of, that fun which you get on the summit.
But Mukunda, like pain is part of the process. But the another thing I think we have to understand is that we should know our body limits also, right? Of course, like these are like small mountains.
Yeah, true.
But when it comes to like bigger mountains, we definitely should listen to our body, and I think you know it better than both of us.
Hey, one second, guys.
So
one second, I'm listening to my body.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
He gave the dialogue from Stoke Kangri.
Yeah.
So on Stoke Kangri, what happened was, I knew I was like one thing. What happened before Stoke Kangri was, I actually was not well for a month. Like I had this very bad cough, fever. I don't know what it was. Like I think I got corona at that point of time. I'm not sure.
Oh.
It was like very bad for a month. I was physically unfit. It was really bad. I think my parents knew, my sister knew about it. And when I was recovering, I had this very bad cough, like which was not stopping at all. Like trying allopathy, homeopathy, everything, but it's just not working out. And then when I went to Stoke,
Abhinandan is about to crack some really bad joke, but
yeah.
some
When I went to Stoke, I drank this water from the river, like
mountains.
And it was mountains. It was actually very cold. And I was telling Saini that, man, this is like very bad. Like it's just going to increase my cough. I'm going to like probably vomit blood or something. He was like, no, dude, just drink it. Let's see, because we were like kind of skeptical about using we thought this gas canisters which we got will get over pretty soon if you start boiling hot water. But it became extremely cold, and then Saini himself like, come on, man, we should drink hot water only. Let's not, fool around with cold water. And then we actually drank hot water. Can you believe it or not? Until then, I had this whooping cough, and then post that day, from the next day, there was no cough for the next 2 months till I came back to Bangalore, till I finished the whole expedition. It's crazy. So when I tell this to my parents, the parents will be like, you should go and sit there only, because
medicinal water
probably part.
You should take one cabin in Leh or somewhere, like outer Leh, and set up your base camp there like forever, and somehow get some internet connection and all to post videos. But otherwise, go every morning, climb something and come back.
Correct. Usually when we go for these mountains, big mountains, especially 7,000, 8,000 meter peaks, You cannot try alpine style. You have to give your body to those many days to acclimatize. There are two styles of climbing mountain. Alpine style. Alpine style is trying to minimize the number of people in the team and trying to go to the mountain as soon as possible and trying to finish the whole expedition in very less number of days, because you're doing everything. Like, you are the cook, you are setting ropes, and there is expedition style where you hire cooks or guides who will help you climb the mountain. So, and expedition style usually takes more longer time because you're going to wait for acclimatization. You're going to start doing rotation, like you're trying to go up and come down to the base camp couple times till you find a window to climb to the summit. That is expedition style. But alpine style usually is a little bit more risky compared to expedition style. So Stoke we were doing in alpine style. So 5 of us, and we were only cooking and all that. And since it was our first 6,000 meter peak, we kind of a lot of things were new, like how to cook for 5 people, what kind of food we need to take for these 5 people. So coming to the summit part of it, what happened was, as we were pushing to the summit of Stoke-Angry, Saini and Nishant were like, okay, fine. Sai is becoming very slow. I think he's either got HAPE or something, or he has got the mountain sickness, and he's extremely slow. And Nishant actually asked me, like, what's wrong with you, man? Why are you like not picking up pace? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just not able to push my legs. Like, every 3 minutes I'm taking 2 steps or 5 steps maximum, and I'm just stopping. And I told them, you guys go ahead, don't wait for me. Yeah, on the summit night. So until the glacier, everything was fine. From the glacier, we are climbing onto the shoulder of Stoke-Angry. And these guys were very quick, actually, Saini and Nishant. They were wondering, why am I not coming that fast? Because I don't know, it was just not a good day for me, and I was not able to, give my full 100%. Like, I was giving my 100%, but I was not able to like push, which was okay. I was climbing at my pace.
That too, you have to climb in the night, right? Like through the night.
Yeah, through the night. So this was a 12-hour climb almost, because Stoke-Angry, people who have climbed Stoke-Angry will understand the toughness of it, because you're climbing from the base camp directly. There is no advanced base camp. It's been taken out for some reason. You cannot see the summit from the base camp. So you actually climb a ridge of 5,300 meters and then come down again, get onto the glacier, again climb the Stoke-Angry actual mountain. So there's so much happening through the night, and by the time you reach the summit, you're extremely exhausted, and you have to come down also. So these guys started going. There is the point where you get onto the shoulder, and then you have to like kind of go on the edge of the mountain up to the summit. These guys had already moved. I told them, please don't wait for me, just go ahead. And I start to see myself slowing down big time, because I can see we were like actually the first team to move from the base camp, and there were a lot of like another 10-15 teams which were following by. I can see the 10-15 teams moving past me. So I'm like the last guy on the mountain who's climbing. There is no one with me. I'm just like trying to like keep that pace of 1-2 steps. And then I know there is nothing wrong with me, because I can feel, I can speak well. I didn't have any headache. I didn't have any issues regarding any of these things. Then I reached the shoulder. When I reached the shoulder, I realized that I'm completely exhausted. I knew this time I have to listen to my body, and I cannot, I cannot try to push for the summit, because I knew something might go wrong over here. So I climbed like probably another 100-200 meters. That was when Sherpa came and told me, like, I think it is better for you to go with someone. I'm like, I don't have anyone to go along with me. And then he was like, okay, fine, just wait for your friends on the shoulder. So I went back to the shoulder, and I sat there waiting for Saini and Nishant to come down. That's when I realized, okay, there's no point trying to push. Just let me listen to my body. That's where the dialogue comes in. As we were talking, about the, let me listen to your body. Make sure you don't, push. That's where that mental aspect comes into play.
Do you think like had you pushed it that way that day, obviously like it would have taken you like crazy amount of strength and all that.
Yeah, it's basically about decision making, right? Decision making on the mountain. It's you have to be very precise, because you cannot, one mistake can cost you a lot. So I think I made a good one over there.
That's good actually.
But I think the next mountain that you climbed immediately, right? And I think that was like a redemption push or redemption summit, because
True. You would
submitted,
say that. Correct.